Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today, the Lamborghini Urus concept that was shown off several months ago, or actually probably a couple of years ago, and we actually talked about it in one of the last episodes, that finally we got official stuff from Lamborghini that this vehicle's going into production. But now there's a lot of rumors floating about what's going to be powering that particular automobile. And I know in one of the last episodes we talked about that normally aspirated V10 that was in the Gallardo and now the new Huracan. Well, apparently Lamborghini's actually going to have to do some hoop jumping through as far as CAFE regulations, as far as fuel economy regulations and CO2 emission regulations. So there's a lot of talk that the normally aspirated is out for a turbocharged V8 that quite possibly could be coming from another brand underneath the umbrella of Volkswagen, i.e. the A7 from Audi. Now, no real word if this is official or not, or this is just a lot of folks actually talking a little bit aloud on the old interweb, so we'll wait and see some more official stuff, but it'll be the first ever turbocharged version for Lamborghini ever, which would be pretty doggone entertaining. Next up on the list, speaking of turbocharging, it's been long, a lot of faithful have been frothing at the mouth, waiting for the brand new STI version of the BRZ to come out. Well, it was only a handful of days ago that some officials at Subaru itself came out and said that they have no STI in the pipeline for the foreseeable future. Well, oddly enough, only a handful of days later, in fact only about 2 or 3, Toyota comes out and they're talking about bringing back or reviving the on-again, off-again, now it's apparently on-again, convertible version of the GT86. Now, when this vehicle first was shown off, there was a lot of buzz about it, and then Toyota backslid and said, nope, we're not going to build the car because the amount of weight that they were going to have to add to the automobile to stiffen up the chassis for lopping off the roof was going to be so immense that the car was not going to have the same performance numbers that the coupe version does. Now, in my mind, you know, the convertible version, most people that drive convertibles aren't the type of folks that are going to be going pounding around canyon driving, or not to mention on race courses. So, to me, a little bit of weight wouldn't mean a whole lot, especially in a car that doesn't make a whole lot of horsepower to begin with. Then there's a lot of talk about the brand new four-door sedan version of the GT86 that's already in development, supposedly going to be going into production very, very soon. These two vehicles gaining enough weight that now Toyota is saying that possibly these vehicles are going to get a bump up with forced induction, a 2.5 liter flat four-cylinder making almost 300 brake horsepower. Yeah, what does that sound like? Oh, yeah, the STI version, the WRX's lump that's underneath the hood. Apparently, Toyota is going to be using that particular vehicle for these two models to make up for some of the weight that it's actually going to be added because of the extra doors and the actual stiffening up of the chassis for the convertible version. And they're already talking about that the coupe version will get the same power plant bump up as well. Now, what does this leave for Subaru? Well, chances are if they've actually derived the power plant, the chances are there'll be an STI version coming very, very soon. A lot of this, I think, is the old interweb working overtime with a lot of folks interviewing a lot of folks, and then you can actually come out and say pretty much anything as far as when you're a manufacturer. And this on-again, off-again, I think, is more along the lines of a lot of manufacturers actually feeding on the need for constant information due to the interweb, that they're actually just keeping their name out in the limelight of this on-again, off-again stuff that keeps on going on. But I'll tell you what, if they bring out that convertible version, that four-door sedan version, and that turbocharged version, going to be making a lot of enthusiasts happy, I think, between those brands. And speaking of the GT86 and the BRZ version, that particular vehicles has landed this particular fellow, being the names of Jeremy Clarkson, one of the presenters on the UK Top Gear. Jeremy was doing a road test on the new GT86 and BRZ in Top Gear a couple of seasons ago. Well, now, thanks to the Daily Mirror, who actually came out with a video that was actually hit the cutting room floor, shows Mr. Clarkson apparently using the N-word And now it's got Mr. Clarkson in a little bit of hot water. Now, Jeremy has not been the type of person that shies away from the limelight, especially for saying something wrong. He has one of those things in your brain, if you will, that actually turns itself off and allows anything to come out of his mouth. I know quite a bit of folks that have that same issue. Now, when it comes to Mr. Clarkson's issue, he had the actual BRZ and GT86, I should say, side by side and did the eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Now, the way I was raised, it was always catch a tiger by the toe, but apparently, and I found this out much later in life, that a lot of folks say catch an N-word by the toe. And this is apparently what the actual Daily Mirror is actually really frustrated about. Now, I'm going to put a video up on the old interwebs, and you can make a decision for yourself. But when Mr. Clarkson actually does eeny, meeny, miny, mo, when he gets to the center section of it, he does a and you really can't make heads or tails. And if you can think on either side of the aisle, whether it's Tiger, Tigger, or the N-word there is, it's a weirdo situation. Mr. Clarkson actually came out right off the bat and apologized for the situation, but said he absolutely never uses the word, and later kind of recanted that it was very difficult for him not to use it when doing that particular bit, which has got a lot of folks a little bit more upset about it as well, especially one of the places where I found the article. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Jeremy Clarkson. And the Daily Mirror is actually not letting up on it, saying that that is exactly the word that he used. So it'll be interesting moving forward of actually what's going on. James May and Richard Hammond, the fellow presenters on Top Gear, actually came to his aid via social media. I thought Richard Hammond actually said it best, that Jeremy was big and loud and fat and ugly and an idiot, but he was a long way from a racist. So we'll see how they weather this particular storm. And I'll put up the video on the Facebook page, and you can choose for yourself what exactly went down. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. If you want to jump on over to that Facebook page, links down in the show notes, you can like us over there. We'd appreciate that. Also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. I thank you for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.